So we're going to look at an Eric Clapton Cream era style lick. One of my favorite things from the very beginning when I started playing guitar. It's kind of in that perfect spot where we're in A minor and you want to anchor your third finger on the D string at the 7th fret. You know, why not just stay in A minor forever? That's what I say. The great thing about this lick is there's a lot of hammer-on and pull-off action, and these are the great like left-hand action things that like identify so many great blues players' styles. So I'm going to go really slow. The lick is got three kind of main parts. The short one at the beginning, this long one in the middle, and then the little tail at the end. So that's how in my mind I look at it as three licks kind of strung together. So let's work on the first lick. So once again, third finger, D string, 7th fret. And we're going to pull off. And what that is instead of picking each note, we're going to pick the first note. And we are secretly keeping our index finger held on the D string on the 5th fret. So it's on the same string, as you can see. And it's holding the note underneath, so that what we're going to do, we're going to strike the top note, and then we pull off our third finger by pulling down, and when we pull off, the third finger picks the next note, the note that's below it. And there's a little trick that's happening. This finger right here is muting these three strings just kind of naturally. It's kind of like just arched over these three strings, so it's muting them. So when you pull off, if this finger kind of taps these other strings, you're kind of protecting the silence by having your index finger kind of muting these strings right here. But you don't have to worry about that right away. That's just something to keep in mind for later as you get better at this. So the first riff, we start. I don't think that's a hammer-on, though. That's later. There is a hammer-on in this series, but you pick, pull off, and pick again. 3 notes, that's your beginning. And then move to the G string, 5th fret, first finger, strike that note. So now we've added a 4th note. Let's do all 4 of these notes. Once again, 4 notes. Pull off, pick again, over to the next string. 5th note, you land back on your anchor. So now we have 5 notes. Move to the next part of the phrase. And it's also a pull-off. So it's really the same action you did at the beginning, but you're doing it on the G string, 7th fret, 5th fret, just like before. So backing up to the top. And then land once again on your anchor. This phrase is getting long. I guess it was a little longer than I said. Really slow. And that second pull off, I do this thing where I kind of roll my finger. That'll come to you eventually. I'm kind of rolling it over to the next string. And what that does is it keeps the first note of the 2-note series, it keeps it ringing all the way up to when the next note starts. On to the next phrase. Let me remember it. That's one of my favorite things. So what he's doing is he's playing with major and minor at the same time, which is a really good blues thing. You know, there's the flat 5 action and then the major minor pull. These are really good emotional things to do when you're playing the blues. But he's doing a hammer-on, so I take my index finger, G string, 5th fret, and I hammer on the very next note above it. And I go from minor to major. A minor, A major. It's this note. That's the difference between the two chords. So that's an interesting thing. So we start this phrase with, and then we go with a bar, a little bar across these two strings with our index finger. And you let them ring together. What you're doing is you're mashing your finger down. It might hurt a little at first, but quickly you develop calluses and it stops hurting. On an acoustic guitar, it'll hurt a little more. Electric's a little more forgiving. So here we go. Hammer on, one note up, between the dots. And those kind of ring together. That's the cool thing about barring and pressing this down. And just press it down as hard as you can, and they'll ring together. Okay, our next pull-off. And here we get your little finger into the action. Little finger is always the tough one to build strength in, so this is really good for you to start getting that going. This might feel a little awkward at first, trying to get your little finger into this action. It's on the, what is that? 8th fret, B string. Okay. So the next part of the phrase, you're going to bring your little finger into the action. And this is always hard. The little finger is the poor stepchild of the left hand. But it's really good to get it into the action as much as possible. Even mine still feels a little, less strong than the other fingers at this point. So you play the first part of the phrase. And then here on the B string, on the 8th fret, strike that note, and you do a pull-off that spans 3 frets. Just like the other 2 pull-offs. You're picking the note by doing a downward exit from the note. So, then G string 7th fret, go back to that note, and then you play this blues minor 3rd, and then you land on your anchor, your original note. So this whole phrase is, and the cool thing about this is when you pull off, you kind of go back in the same direction you were, and you could actually turn this into a repeating phrase. Because you're going back to the note that you were just on. We're almost done. Then you end the phrase by doing this again. So the end of the phrase is, the beginning of the last phrase is the same as the beginning of the phrase we just did. It's, and then you hit the 5 note, which is basically telling you it's the 5 chord of the 1-4-5 blues progression. So the whole lick. I'm going to do it one last time, super slow.